Varian-ce.
How's it going, everybody? I am Jim Deathblow Reed, and that is John the Blevins over there, as always, just waving at the camera. Yeah, guys, so we're in, what is this, week 3 now of spoilers for the Grand Tournament. We are still just getting a steady influx of cards. That means we don't have to talk about anything else. We don't have to do any prep work for the show. I just show John these cards that he's been irresponsible and hasn't looked at yet, and he makes things up on the fly. It's pretty great. In all honesty, though, we've got some really cool things to look at. An incredibly powerful legendary got released today. If you haven't seen it, I'd be super excited to just send you down the track on the hype train here.
Yeah, all aboard.
And really nothing but hype, top to bottom, from the show, because one thing that's really not in the slides, so we'll just talk about it now, is the 2 legendaries that were released today. It was the last vote, John.
It was the last vote.
There's no more cards to vote on. That means they're really winding down the spoilers. And we should be looking at the set really soon. I mean, I say that with, what, 2 weeks left in the month. And,
right.
You know, I guarantee that we get the set this month. But I'm gonna kind of one-up that and say I think by next week's show we're already playing with the cards. I think we'll see the set on Tuesday, and I think we'll get that announcement on Friday when they do their show
Probably.
games or their showcase stream.
Yeah. Matches, yep.
Yeah, if we didn't get an announcement at Gamescom, which I was expecting, we'll get it on that stream. And it might be the 24th.
My packs. When can I open my packs? When can I open my packs? Da, 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 da.
It might be the 24th, and it's really going to depend on how they're doing fixing bugs and polishing everything up for us here on that Friday. I expect Blizzard doesn't even know. Like, they're not even hiding it from us. They don't know which Tuesday they'll have it ready for.
Yeah, I was like, maybe I just won't buy the packs, and I'm like, I really want that card back though. So I want 50 packs, and I've got like 2,500 gold right now, and 50 packs. So I'm going to be opening 75 packs when the set comes out. Pretty excited.
Yeah, I'm looking at like 150. And
wow.
I'm pretty pumped about it. Anybody that didn't already pre-order, like when we show you this legendary, the last card we'll talk about today,
Blizzard probably is going to owe us some amount of commission for this, right?
Yeah. I mean, anybody that would ever print or talk about it. Your camera shifted on you a good bit there.
Yep, I see that.
But yeah, so let's kind of move on here a little bit. And speaking of Gamescom, which I mentioned a little earlier, I know you guys, I told you I would never talk about it again. And I'm about to talk about it right now. Tournament mode, you guys. Apparently, there was an interview at Gamescom with someone from Icy Veins, and the interview was with Mike, and I'm going to screw this up, but Donias. He's a senior designer, and he works obviously on the Hearthstone team. Mike Donay. That doesn't seem right to me, but I trust you. He was asked, will Hearthstone ever get an in-game tournament mode? And the answer was tournament mode is another thing people have been looking for. And I read that, and I just cringed. I'm like, look at him not answer the question.
Yeah.
Then it just gets crazy. We almost did it before Tavern Brawl, but we decided Tavern Brawl was something more people would enjoy and let more people have more fun each week. So that says to me that it's in development, and we should expect it, John.
No, it was in development, but we're like, people are more casual people are going to buy more cards, we'll do that, Mike Donay, I don't know. Maybe I'm just being the pessimist about this. I'm trying to be an optometrist, but I just can't.
Optometrist. I don't see anything to really get too pessimistic about. Like, this literally reads as... It
can't get worse, right? We already...
Right, yeah, we're coming from the point of it's never going to happen, and we're all doomed. But, man, like...
This is on their minds.
Yeah, it's on their minds, and I personally think we should expect it as the next content. And I mean, I'm probably just hyping myself up to be really disappointed. But I think, you know, it's something that maybe not for 6 months. You know, it could
Yeah.
easily happen. Not the next expansion, but not the next solo adventure, but the next expansion maybe.
I could see it come out with the adventure.
Yeah.
Problem is they don't have any. They have no reason to like put it out earlier. It's like, oh, we got this done, guys. Let's get it out for you so you can play it. No, it's like we're kind of in a lull right now. We need to drum up some hype. Let's do tournament mode.
Right. And that, yeah, they're definitely not in a lull right now, but at the same time, anything you can do to expand the esports scene and expand your Twitch presence and how often you have tournaments being posted there, things like that, really just, that's marketing for you and free marketing. Like, we're literally doing it for them.
But there's an article. I don't remember where it's from, so whatever. It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. It's like some like just generic video game news website or whatever.
Yeah.
And do you know how much money they make a month from mobile, Jim? $20 million.
Yeah.
They can just throw. They don't like it is irrelevant. They don't need to. They like you don't need to market to esports. You just make a Farmville game. Like they could just be like, oh well, now you got to spend arcane dust to play games. Like they could just do that and get the same like millions that Farmville gets. Like because the idiot mobile users just spend all the stupid money.
Well, you don't really spend any money if it just adds it to your phone bill that you don't have to pay right now.
True.
It's kind of like it's not real.
Also, I say this as both of us have admitted to spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars on the game.
I won't tally it again. I did at one point, and I will never track it ever again.
What an idiot!
Yeah. No, I don't regret it. I mean, I feel like I've gotten my money's worth, but we don't.
Definitely.
I just don't need to have the concrete figure.
Yeah, it's nice to not know.
Yeah.
I just know it's hundreds.
Yeah.
I know that it hit hundreds very, very quickly for me. It was back when we had to pay for arenas because the prices were bad and we were also bad.
And it happened in the multiple hundreds for me as well, straight out of the gate, because I sold my Magic collection and decided at that time I'm going to own it all. You know what I mean? Like I made that decision. So I came into the game, I pumped the brakes a little bit. I didn't just drop $200 into a game I'd never played that was free to play. But I started out with the max number of packs. Like before I ever played a game of ranked, I think I'd opened, probably close to 75, 100 packs or so.
Yep.
But anyways.
I bet this is just a real quick story.
Sure.
Back when I first started, I really wanted a golden legendary, and I didn't get one for a while. And long story short, I kept opening packs until I got one, and it was 3 waves of 50 packs before I got one.
Wasn't it Sylvanas though?
It was Sylvanas.
See, that's a bargain. Like if I could know. No, I'm serious. Because you got a bunch of other stuff too,
True.
If I could know going into this that I could pull the legendary in golden, if all I did, like, I'm already opening 150 packs, like I would do it again. I would open 300 if I was guaranteed a normal pack opening, but also golden awesome guy.
But definitely golden warrior legendary.
Oh my goodness. I would have to. I'm almost considering, like, if I open well enough, I might just make the golden one straight out of the gate. The first time I play the guy, it might be golden.
It's got to be. Do you have the rest of the deck golden?
No, but I'm really close. Like, because I did patron, so I have all those cards.
Do it.
It's gonna be close because I'm gonna have to at some point, anyways. Like I will have a golden, especially with the rewards. Oh my goodness, I will have. That's gonna help me get like my shield slams and stuff like that.
Those are the golden, the class specific golden epics are what really just kill you.
Yeah, those are the money beats, as somebody that's rewatching The Office would say right now.
Yeah.
All right. Other things from this interview. What did they say? Oh, the pattern of expansion set. 4 months, not set in stone. He said that they very well might just completely uproot it and change it and do something else in the future. And there was one other thing from the tournament. But any reaction to that, John, while I try to remember what that was?
It's definitely, I mean, I guess if you follow the like cycle of Magic the Gathering, it's worked for them for so many years to have the set cycle of like how they're going to release sets. I don't know, maybe like because like okay, so say it's just random or whatever whenever they do it, whenever they release a set. After a certain amount of time, you know, we get bored and like okay, ranked is boring, arena is boring, blah blah blah. But it's like if I know in X number, I guess there's two sides of the coin. If I know in a month or whatever they're going to come out with a new set, I'll be like, okay, I'm going to get hyped when that happens. I guess at the same time, if I never know, I can either be like, well, who knows when there's going to be a set out, so I'm just not going to play and then wait for the set to maybe come out. Or I can be like, well, there might be a new set coming out soon, so I got to keep grinding gold so I'll have enough gold to open packs when it comes out. So I don't know. I guess it just depends on which conclusion they come to. I could see it going either way, I suppose.
Right, and could you imagine getting something as awesome as Black Rock Mountain with like 2 weeks notice? You know what I mean? Like Black Rock Mountain might be a bad, maybe next. Like maybe the next one is next quality and has that many playable like comics and everything in it. You know, and you just like on a Tuesday, they're just like 1 week from today, we're gonna open up this place, and you know, you just left one a month ago or something like that. Like that would just be absolutely insane.
I've toyed around, and I think we talked about this a little bit. I don't remember if it was on or off stream. So they release like the Grand Tournament. They release all the cards to us, or they release the spoiler. I mean, and then they're like, okay, every week you're going to be able to unlock like 3 cards, but they're random cards.
Yeah.
Or like the set just comes out like one a day for 4 months or something like that. Like, you know, like you never stop getting new cards. Just either every week or every day there's something new coming out.
It would definitely be interesting, especially, you know, you can still tweak cards and things like that, so you don't have to be as terrified to break things. Yeah, and there's like less. You don't have to think of every interaction for 130 cards like they need to now.
Right.
You can focus on 3 of them to really help. You know, it might help make sure they break it less often. But John,
right. I guess
we have a long list of cards that keep us from the one we actually want to talk about. Except for I lied, and there he is. Oh my goodness, it's totally ruined.
Spoiler.
Oh man, we're just gonna kill everything here. And I'm going to fix it.
Long list of cards. The list is 0.
Oh, right.
That's okay. I mean, the chances that the people in chat have not seen it.
It's true. But the cheaters on the YouTubes, though, they just get to pause it and go back and look at it. I'm really upset at myself right now.
I also had like 8 hours extra to look at.
To see it, and we can hype it up so much, and like they're just gonna want to go look at it. But stop trying to make me feel better. It was an epic fail, and I do not deserve to feel better. I guess it's weird. You should preview a slide before you take it to the presentation site. What do I know?
Oh no, we upset Madam Thinmint.
Is she leaving?
She wanted to ride the hype train along with us.
I mean, you probably didn't get to read it that fast, although I had to, like, close the program 7 times in order for it to go away. Anyways. I'm a failure, guys. You're used to it by now, though, right? Like, it's not like...
You haven't really had that many technical snafus, surprisingly.
No, early on we were, you know, like, I was getting used to things, so the production value was lower, generally speaking.
I also had a really bad mic and was going through like 50 computer changes as well. So
yeah, you were pretty terrible.
Yep.
Oh, it's a wonder anybody actually watches us.
True, including us.
Well, I don't know if you do.
Me neither.
I can't listen to myself or you talk for that long, for that matter.
What
are you guys doing here?
If I could mute your voice, I'd be able to watch it.
Oh man, see, my voice is hands down the worst to me. Like, it's just literally, I'd rather listen to Nails on a Chalkboard, and I get told all the time, like, that I have like a radio voice, like when I talk, people listen, and I'm just like, why would anyone do that? It's so stupid. Anyways, so I'm glad we were able to just make fun of me fluidly through that snafu, and now we can just look at some of these cards. And boy, are we starting.
I called it.
What'd you call it?
I did. I called this card last week.
That's right, you totally did.
I said they're either going to make a card called Holy Night or Deadly Night. Or both.
What was the counter to it, though? I'm trying to think.
Silent Night.
Silent Night. Oh, yeah, they totally did make
Silent Night was the card that Trump posted.
Silent Night, Holy Night. That's a song. Pretty sure of it. Anyways, this guy is a neutral 3-mana 4/3 minion with a battle cry, Silence a Demon. So straight away, John, the first thing I'll say is it's a pretty aggressively, statted minion for the mana cost. It's decent. A 3-mana 4/3, while you always rather have a 3/4. It's decent. It gets there. But the battle cry, John, it's so narrow. Why would you ever play this? Even if Demon Lock was the best deck in the format.
You wouldn't play this. You wouldn't. And I mean, there are 3-mana 4/3s, and they're not even that. There's the mage one, your favorite card that I hate, one that puts a secret into play. It's a 3-mana 4/3. Kirin Mage. It's okay,
right?
Not because of stats.
And Spellbreaker is the obvious comparison here. This is just cheaper, strictly better if your target's a demon, but my target's a demon one in how many times?
Not that many times.
Not near enough to make it worth the lesser mana cost. And you don't even care about the aggressively costed minion and the decent stats, because it has a reactive ability. So you would just, in every situation, rather play Spellbreaker, and this is a card that won't see any play outside of Arena. Play it in Arena, by all means. But
yeah, you could play it in Arena. I don't even know if you'd want. I don't think you'd pick this over Spider Tank necessarily in Arena.
No, I think I'd always take the 3/4 over the 4/3, but
yeah,
when you're
just really underwhelmingly garbage card. Gotcha.
A very interesting card here, though, John, which we're supposed to start with weapons, and I screwed that up because the Holy Knight there came out today, and I tried to throw it at the beginning since it was so bad. But I'm just full of failures today. Anyways, the Charged Hammer is a 4-mana 2/4 shaman weapon. With Death Rattle, your hero power becomes deal 2 damage. So, John, I really want to play Face Hunter, but I've yet to unlock the Hunter ability. Can you provide me with a replacement for the Hunter class?
Yes, you just play Shaman, and 500,000 turns later, you can be a Face Hunter.
So this is really interesting because later in the game, the totems can be good later in the game because you can have all 4 of them out. You can guarantee that taunt totem every single turn. But this is a card that's just going to change your hero ability to give you the eventuality and the finishing capabilities of a Hunter deck. With that said, I mean, that all sounds great, right? But at the end of the day, you're stuck playing this 4-mana 2/4 weapon, and you'd really need it to be a 3/4 to get me to want to consider it.
3/4 is probably pretty. I mean, you're already looking at 8 damage over the course of, like I said, 500,000 turns for 4 mana. Not the worst. 12 damage is probably good enough. It's almost definitely good enough. If this were 3 mana, I'd consider it.
So here's kind of my thought. 3 mana, I might consider it as well, just to put in, a mid-range shaman deck, and then not care about the fact that you're changing the hero ability. But I think I'd rather have, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think I'd rather have a 6/3 body than a 2/4 weapon. How do you feel about that?
A 6/3 body than a 2/4 weapon, probably.
And would you rather have a 2 damage hero ability or the ability to just choose your totem instead of?
Probably just.
And do you want these 2 mana more? Because that's the question you've got to ask yourself. I think they're going to fit into the same decks, and there's not really. And we'll see if it pans out. Me and John both think Shaman's going to have a very nice aggro to early mid-range deck option after the new set, but it's just, even in that scenario, there's other better things you can do.
Yeah, like, so here's how I think of it. If there was a way, like if you could Harrison Jones yourself or Acidic Swamp Ooze yourself or whatever, I could see this card maybe getting played, but I'm thinking even if that's the case, where you just have the ability to destroy it whenever you want, it's still not even that good. Like, it's decent. Like, you have a super mage. You literally have the better mage, ability, like the one from that guy. Like, you have that ability. That's your hero power. I don't know that it's gonna be that good though. It just doesn't. It does not seem like it does enough.
Yeah, I'm not impressed enough by the weapon. I don't think the weapon is too strong. So, at the end of the day, that makes a very big difference. And what can you really kill with 2 damage? You know, if you play with Paladin much, you'll learn that, you know, when you have the 1/4 weapon or whatever it is after the muster for battle, it's not really an acceptable option to then smash the Knife Juggler twice to kill it, right? So, you know, this will kill the Knife Juggler, but this doesn't kill the 3/4s. This doesn't, anything X4, like you have to smash it twice, even X3. And you're just not winning the overall damage race against something aggressive, or what have you. Even mid-rangey, you can very easily lose a mid-range. If you're spending your turn 4 play on this instead of Piloted Shredder, it's a big deal.
Right, yeah, and Raynad did like a review of all the cards that came out, and pretty much every 4-mana spell, like if it doesn't pass the Shredder test, like why are you playing it, honestly? You don't, like, you can kind of go overboard with the number of 2-drops in your deck, but you can't really in any capacity have too many 4s. Like, you can definitely have too many 4s. It's not good to have too many 4s.
Right.
So 4 mana is a really precarious spot. Last problem with this, especially since it's 4 mana, you want your weapons early so you can deal with the early threats. Like you said, you don't want to be taking 100 damage to kill threats. And it's also a turn or 2 later that you start getting to chip away at the durability, so you don't even really like get the value from this thing. The more I think about it, the worse this card gets.
It was really interesting and a cool thought, and you know, I thought about it, and I'm not quite there. But this is a card I'm perfectly willing to accept that maybe I'm just wrong, and the deck really wants to late in the game get to deal 2 damage. I don't think it's likely, but it's certainly possible.
Yeah.
Don't go dusting this. Let other people figure it out and confirm it first.
This is pretty close to a duster, I think.
I mean, it's really, to me, silly to dust almost anything for the first 2 or 3 weeks.
I agree too, but if you really want that, if you really need Dr. Boom, like think of it that way. Would you dust this to craft the top 5 legend if you needed it?
It depends on how much variance I wanted to have. Ooh, got there.
Ooh, I see what you did there.
Oh man! All right, since everybody's seen the card anyways, because I'm an idiot. Lance Bearer is a 2-mana 1/2 with a battle cry to give a friendly minion +2 attack. I don't know what you're muttering at me. I'm just ignoring it.
Card's insane.
Yeah, hands down. Battle cry, give a friendly minion +2 attack. Really
this card's insane. Were you around when Old Dark Iron Dwarf existed?
I didn't, or I wasn't, but this card's
Old Dark Iron
not
Dwarf's
actually good.
You kidding me?
No, I'm very.
You realize
serious.
the +2 attack stays forever,
yeah, it's permanent, but do you realize that, like, it's a 2-drop, so what are you really pumping anyways? Like, your 1-drop that then's about to trade and do the exact same thing as Abusive Sergeant?
You don't play it. You don't need to play it on turn 2 necessarily.
No. So on turn 4, I really want to play a 1/2, and then hero ability. I don't know.
Yep. I mean, I guess it's definitely not as good as it would have been if it came out in like the first set.
Or if it was like, I mean, that's like comparing it to Dark Iron Dwarf is like, you know, saying it would have to be a 3/2 for it to be that comparison to me.
Yeah, that's
like,
true. That's a good point.
Jam it onto whatever the size body you're supposed to have for the mana cost, and then give it the ability.
If it were a 2/2, it probably should be a 2/2.
Yeah, it needs something more. It doesn't impact the board enough on itself. You can't play it on an empty board as a 3/2. If you could do that, it would just be versatility and options to a drop you're already going to play anyways. So, it's just a little short to me. I don't know. The power creep is
Yeah.
real, and even if this sees some play now, it's not gonna for long.
I guess like the only thing it would really see play in is like Zoo, and I don't know. I'm trying to think if this is better than Direwolf Alpha. Probably not, but maybe it actually might be better than Direwolf Alpha. So I guess in Direwolf Alpha decks it might see play.
I don't think I would touch this for anything. This is kind of on my call of cards you're just not going to see. I don't have any hope for this seeing constructive play. And I'm glad you disagree though, because it makes for an interesting conversation, and it makes for for an interesting moment later on when you're like throwing the Lance Bearer decks in my face.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You put it on. I guess if you put it on Arden Squire, it's pretty good.
I guess there very well could be a home for it. If it counted as a spell to trigger those legendaries, I'd be all in. Because then there'd be a curve to it or something like that. But I didn't even consider it as a playable option. It didn't read as one to me, and I'm curious to see if it's wrong. And at the end of the day, that greenskin, if it was real, just would have no interest in that butterfly. It just wouldn't care. And it makes no sense. Also, there's no Lance in the Lance Bearer picture. I'm just saying.
That's actually a valid point that I accept.
John's not playing it anymore either.
The only reason that I keep my eyes open for this card is because I did play when Dark Iron Dwarf was the real deal. Yeah. And it was basically, it was probably the second or third best card in Hearthstone. So it's a flag, at least. I'm going to keep an eye on it for a little bit. I'm going to keep it in the back of my mind because I know that this ability is very good. I don't know if putting it on a novice engineer is good enough.
Right.
Old novice engineer, which was also bonkers. That's another, I guess, point to why this might be playable, because novice engineer was a 2-mana 1/2, and that was the most played card in Hearthstone for a long time before it got nerfed. I mean, granted, this was back in my day, 2-mana 1/2s that drew your card were the best cards in Hearthstone. So 2-mana 1/2s have seen play, and give a friendly minion +2 attack permanently has seen play. I'm going to at least keep my eye on this guy for a little bit.
A 2-mana 1/2 on a control ability might make me turn my head as well as something I might want to do. And I think that's why Novice Engineer saw the play it did, was because it filled out the early turns for the passive late game decks and things like that. And I could very well be wrong. I didn't play in that time. The aggressive decks might have just jammed with them anyways. I really don't know. There weren't a ton of card options back then. So
true.
Well, I think we can all agree that this is the best Holy Knight target that exists, because Dreadsteed is a 4-mana 1/1 demon with Death Rattle to summon a Dreadsteed. All the 1/1s, you guys, you can't kill this. You have to silence it first. If you kill it, it just comes back. And if you play Baron Rivendare, John, you get 2 of them.
Oh, man. So that just means if you have one of these out, and I play Grim Patron and Warsong Commander, I get all my Grim Patrons, right?
Well, I mean, you get to kill them all, but wait, they just come back. No, all you need is 1 on the board to just fold your Grim Patron opponent. This card has no viability. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't want this in Arena. I don't want this in Constructed.
Correct. Constructed, this is, once again, that type of card that's really weird. So it might some time down the line be like a combo piece for some reason.
Wait, I think I just broke it. Hear me out.
Okay.
Skull Clamp.
This card would be busted with Skull Clamp.
Yeah, it would definitely be like the best Skull Clamp creature ever just thought of, conceived.
Yep. This is an insane Skull Clamp card.
You had a legitimate thought, so go ahead.
I'm not even going to explain. If you want to know what Skull Clamp is, Google it. It's from the Magic the Gathering set Darksteel. Yeah, like if there's some sort of weird, like another weird card that combos with this, maybe it's like a Patron-esque card in that it's really weird. So it could be something maybe at some point if there's a card that combos with it, but on its own, it's really bad.
Yeah, and I'm hearing Crip called it unlimited value, and I can't argue with that.
True.
It literally, over time, will gain infinite value till the game ends. But that's because it's not good enough to get silenced. Like, you just ignore the 1/1. Like, you just...
It is pretty sweet with Warsong Commander. If you have a Warsong Commander in play.
Yeah, if you can... Yeah, if you can find a way to combine the two class cards. Like, okay, so hear me out. I'm playing Mage, and I unstable portal to get the Warsong Commander.
Right.
Then I unstable portal to get the Dreadsteed, and then just go off. Like, I'm just going to build a deck around that. But for real, I just... Listen, like John said, it's really weird. It's kind of an unprecedented thought that's never been around. I haven't been able to test anything like this. Sticky minions are good. Harvest Golem leaves a 2/1 on the board, and I love it, but it's not a 1/1.
This is costs more.
Yeah,
is worse on the front. Is worse on the back.
But it'll be a 3/3 after Mal'Ganis. I don't know. It's every scenario that gets use out of this. Just like it just kind of.
Oh, it doesn't even work that well with Hobgoblin because the second one isn't even a 3/3, just the first one.
Yeah, that's true. Only the first one would be a Hobgoblin target.
Yes.
Yeah, every time I try to think of some way to make this card playable, I just feel silly and I laugh about it, and it seems like this magical Christmas scenario. We've been using that a lot lately, but it's a good one. The magical Christmas land scenario where I'm actually finding a way to get good value out of this, and I don't know.
Involves cards from a different trading card game.
Right. If it costs, what would this have to cost for you to play it, John?
2 mana.
I was thinking 2 as well. I might play it as a 2-drop, but we'll never know because it costs 4.
It costs about twice as much mana as it needs to.
Speaking of Warlock cards, John, and speaking
that we're not going to play,
and speaking of magic things, this card totally has madness. It is a 4-mana Warlock spell called Fist of Jaraxxus that when you play or discard this, deal 4 damage to a random enemy. So when I cast Succubus to get that 4/3 for 2. I just discard the Fist of Jaraxxus and kill your Succubus that you played because Demon Lock's the new meta. And
don't get to choose which card you discard, man.
No, you don't. It's a random card that you discard, and also it's a random hit. So I personally am not playing this, but
it's really bad.
I like that they made it though. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
Yeah, I'm not against them making the card. I'm not really against them making any cards. But that doesn't mean I have to like them.
Like Dreadsteed.
Like what? No, Dreadsteed's cool.
No, it's dumb. I just like them exploring the thought of it resolving when discarded. Like it creates an interesting precedent that we might see down the line.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and it's like a theme for Warlocks. I think it's kind of cool. Like if they make a bunch of these, you just get like a card that if it's like it's like a 3-mana. Let's use the thing we were doing before. 3-mana, 7 or 6/11. That every time you attack, if you can't, you have to discard a card at random, and if you can't, you sacrifice or something like that.
7/11, right?
Whatever, 7/11. 7/11, and it's wearing Groucho Marx glasses so that Big Game Hunter can't see him. Yeah.
Yeah, can't be seen through sights.
Yeah. Cannot be seen through sights. Definitely not big game.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is just to me a cool concept. I hope we see minions that will hit the board when discarded, things like that. Like I'd love a reason for Warlock to want to play Succubus. It's just a cool concept to have cards like this, and it potentially creates, if there's 3 or 4 of these, maybe Fist of Jaraxxus isn't playable now, but when you have the incentive to just cram everything that makes you discard randomly into your deck and just play all of them, you know what I mean, and absorb the RNG, this will find its way into your, into a deck someday. I really think it's probably going to happen. It's not right now.
Yeah, it definitely could. It could. Yeah, it's not. There's not enough right now, but it could.
Yeah, it would have to be part of a theme, and right now it's the only card.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Suicide Black type
Right.
of strategy, like the give your guy +3/+3 and give them a mana crystal and
Yeah.
discard your hand to do more
Mhm.
damage. Like, yeah, doesn't seem like it's that good right now.
Well, we have another epic here, John. This time it is a warlock, or I'm sorry, a warrior epic. The last two cards were warlock. Sea Reaver is a 6-mana 6/7. When you draw this card, deal 1 damage to all your minions. So I'm whirlwinding my side of the board. I'm activating all of the Grim Patrons in existence when I draw this card. And I'm curious, John, if you think this has a chance. If did you expect anything that might assist Grim Patron Warrior to be printed? And B, do you think this will actually assist Grim Patron Warrior?
No, and no.
I'm kind of on board. The saving grace for it, right, is that it's kind of like a decent body for the cost, right? A lot of the six drops,
it's got
the legendaries, you know, they're 5/5s. You think of Sylvanas, things like that.
Yeah, it's got Boulder Fist Ogre stats. Boulder Fist Ogre does not ever see play.
Right.
This is like a niche playable. Like, the problem is that you can't control when it happens. That's the real problem. Like, there's going to be times that you draw it and you don't. Like, nothing's on the board. Sure, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be time. I guess you're probably playing mostly minions that you don't care if they get hit, but there's going to be times when you have like your like 5/1 Grim Patrons and you end up killing all of them. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. You can't control it, so I don't think it's good enough.
Right. I don't expect this to actually see play in Grim Patron Warrior. I think it has almost a better chance in a Control Warrior style deck, because you're going to get better use out of the body, and there's not enough room in Control Warrior to actually play this. I just think it would be better served, in a deck where you are you're still playing the Acolytes and the Armor Smiths and things like that. If it was a true Whirlwind effect, I think it still might not be playable.
I don't know.
You don't just not controlling it is just so big.
Yeah, that's true. But when it's Whirlwind,
the cases where it's strictly bad are far fewer. That's for sure.
True.
That's what I think you'd need to do to it in order to make it like a card to be worth being excited about.
Right.
And that's it seems like it's really close to there, but it's a long way away. It's all downside instead of being having an effect that is a great warrior spell that sees play. Patron's just too efficient right now to add a card like this.
In terms of accolades from us, Sea Reaver is not a receiver.
Hey-o!
I just came up with that one.
Okay, so also, Sea Reaver. Let's talk about this. Not a pirate.
True.
Wouldn't the Sea Reaver be a pirate?
You'd think. In terms of...
If I look at this warrior card that talks about the sea, other than the seas in the background, I don't see anything oceanic about this guy. He looks like a warrior.
He's got electricity.
That's a shaman ability. That's a good point.
Yeah, that looks pretty shamanic.
Yeah, I'm not feeling the flavor of this card, and
Nope.
As chat's pointed out a little bit here, and is becoming apparent, like that's kind of the theme of the set, is that the theme doesn't fit. But it's also the theme of the set that you get like all these crazy characters that come in from nowhere. So I guess in that sense, like it makes sense that they don't all make complete sense, but nonetheless.
Yeah. Thin Mint points out that lightning plus water makes a lot of sense, except that water doesn't technically conduct electricity. It's stuff in water that does. If it's perfectly clean water in Azeroth, it won't conduct electricity.
It's definitely not. I have an oil rig off a platform on Duratan. It's there's been some spillage on occasion, and
did you dump 300 million gallons of old mine waste into?
I'm really lazy
rivers?
about fishing, and I needed to make some feasts for the raid, so yeah, I just dumped a bunch of oil and let them all float to the surface.
Oh. I was pointing out a story that actually happened in real life.
I don't know what you're talking about.
It's pretty cool, actually. Look it up. There's this like river that is just orange. It looks like mustard. It literally looks like mustard. It's kind of terrifying.
If you want me to see anything about this, you're gonna have to send me a link because
I don't really care.
All right, so that's behind me. All right. This is kind of a polarizing card here. I've seen a lot of people really like Living Roots and a lot of people that don't. John, I'm curious of your thoughts on it because it's not one we've discussed. It's a 1-mana druid spell with choose one. Weird, right? Deal 2 damage or summon 2 1/1 saplings. I'm going to stay quiet on it for the time being and let you kind of explain it.
It seems fine. Like 2 damage for 1 mana is decent, like early game removal. And if you are making like a token deck, like Druid already has a lot of the tools to make a token deck. And it's a spell, so you get more 1/1s from Violet Teacher, etc., etc. I'm in on it.
Yeah, I'm kind of out on it, and here's the reason. I like that they're making it, okay, because it's one of these cards that helps define their mission of, you know, being a late game card, or, you know, pushing these decks into the late game to encourage the interaction and kind of not necessarily kill aggro, but kill the face strategy. You know, I think they really want the aggro decks to look like the zoo decks of old, that, you know, and even the current zoo decks where they focus on board control and then after that they'll kill you. You know, so this card will help get them to that state, but it just doesn't do anything. You know, at the end of the day, if you aren't playing against a super aggressive deck, it's great against Face Hunter. I'll play it all day. If you're not playing that matchup, though, I don't want 2 1/1s. No thanks. Like,
yeah, I mean, it's probably not worth the slot in the deck.
Right.
That's a good point.
Right. It's a quality card. It serves a role, and it's better than a Druid deck just trying to, you know, jam Zombie Chow or something like that. Although I guess maybe not, because Zombie Chow can at least carry it can carry Savage Roar damage.
It's definitely, well, I mean, this can too.
Yeah, I'm not, like, to me, I think at least one of the 1/1s is going to die.
This is probably fine arena card. Will probably get played if there's a token Druid deck.
Yes. Yeah, that's a really good point.
I think that's exactly what the card is, and I don't really expect anything more of it. It's not going to get played in mid-range Druid. It's likely not going to get played. I can, like...
It's a meta counter to face decks, or it's a token Druid card. I can get behind
Yeah,
that.
I mean, I don't know if this is... I guess if there's, like, a different style of Druid deck, because, like, Druid traditionally has just been, like, it has Wrath, it has Swipe for those 2 points, and then it tries to fill in the curve with just big taunts. That's how it's countered the face meta. So I don't know. This doesn't really help that game plan. But if there's a different deck, sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I like I said, I'm not disappointed in this card. I'm just, there's people that are like, oh, this is really good. Druids are gonna love this, and I don't think so. I think it's gonna fill a role and see a little play, but it's not gonna be anything great. All right, John, we got a weird one.
It's either the best or worst card in the set, and there's no middle ground for it.
Yeah, we'll talk about it a little bit, and then we'll talk about the fact that Kripparrian would be the one to reveal this card. I love that Blizzard gave him this one.
Yeah.
Hey, Krip, people are going to pitch a fit, so why don't you explain it?
Yeah. Well, it's like, what's the most Kripparrian card they could have given him? It's probably this one.
Yeah, that's going to be Astral Communion, the Druid spell. It's a 4-mana spell. Gain 10 mana crystals. Discard your hand.
Yeah.
So these will be full mana crystals when you get them, John. You will not have 6 mana when you cast it. You will have 10. But all of your cards are gone.
All of them.
And if anybody's curious, thinking, but when I Wild Growth, then I run out of... So won't this, if I cast it on turn 4 with 4 mana, won't this give me 4 cards to draw? No. If you have 10 mana crystals and you cast this card, you'll get one of those. That's confirmed from Blizzard. I don't know why. It doesn't seem to make a ton of sense to me. But I guess it's just to, in the late game, if you draw it and you're top decking, it's not dead.
No, that would be... Are you kidding me? That card would be broken. If it was like on turn 4 you cast it, You discard your hand, but you draw 4 cards. Like, that's just stupid. Why would they ever do that?
I needed clarification on it to make sure that wasn't it. I agreed with you that I'm like, if I'm just going to end up with drawing 4 cards for free, like, this is dumb, and I'm going to play this all day. But
Yeah.
I needed clarification on it because I've never been in this situation with Nourish, where at the end I'm like gaining.
Nourish doesn't give you cards for the mana crystals.
Right, you just choose to draw the cards instead because it's a mode on the card. So it was something I hadn't ever experienced, and I wasn't sure, but it's confirmed that doesn't happen. And listen, the way Kripparrian explained that you're going to have to play this card is, imagine, turn 2, Loot Hoarder, turn 3, Acolyte of Pain.
Acolyte of Pain, yep.
And then turn 4, you cast this, and you draw 2 cards by throwing your minions at things, and now you have 2 cards, and you have 10 mana, so you draw into Ancient of Lore. Obviously is a really good option. Draw a couple more cards, and your hand size is like back to 3, and maybe you still are going to get one later off the Acolyte of Pain. So
right.
There's a chance this is just the sickest ramp spell ever, and it's actually reliable to set up that scenario where you're able. I think all you need to do is draw 2 cards after this.
Yeah, I mean, you build your deck around it, obviously. Problem is when you have this on turn between turn 6 through 9, actually 6 through anything.
Yeah.
After turn 6, it's just really bad. And I don't know if Hearthstone gives you enough wiggle room to have cards that are just really, really, really good on exactly turn 4, and then really, really, really bad every turn after that.
Right.
Like literally just going to just a dead card. But if there is one, this is it. Yeah. I was talking with Ando about this earlier. I'm like, this card is either broken or unplayable, and there's no other choice for it. It's either the best card or the worst. There's no oh, this card's all right. It's one or the other.
Now, ways this is just playable without the ability to draw cards is we've learned over the course of however long playing Druid that it's not unreasonable to both go second and have a coin, draw an Innervate, and then have a 4-drop for turn 1. And I gotta say, I don't care what I'm discarding, I'm totally fine starting my turn 2 with 10 mana top decking in a Druid deck. I'm all in on that strategy, and I would.
And you draw the second Innervate, and you kill yourself.
Well, the Innervates do become terrible draws after the fact. There's no doubt, but anytime you get low on cards in the late game, you know what I mean. Druid does that anyways. Now, granted, you're lowering your card. You're making sure.
Right.
That you're
probably
cards,
playing you could play this in Ramp Druid, or not Ramp Druid, Mill Druid, right? You just play all the Cold Light Oracles and Grove Tenders, so that you're at least cycling whenever you every card you top deck is at least cycling to try to hit a net positive card, right? So you try to hit your you probably play Nourish in the deck, you play Cold Light Oracle or whatever, because if you have 10 mana and they have 5 or whatever, it's not even close. The parity of the card is easily outdone by this. Problem with that deck is that it's probably really bad without Astral Communion.
Right.
And that's one of the inherent flaws of Hearthstone combo decks.
Yeah.
When there's a turn that you need the combo card on and you don't have it on that turn, a deck's probably just really bad. Yeah. So, once again,
we'll see. And this is one
either broken or unplayable.
Yeah, unless I naturally open 2 of these, I won't be experimenting with it either. I'm going to have to allow other people to craft this particular epic and test things out. Yeah. But
it looks sweet.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't know how to. There's no way to evaluate it when it's so different from everything else. So we're just gonna have to wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's the type of card. It's like a 4-drop that you need to have in your opening hand, right? You always mulligan for it. You probably mulligan your whole hand away to try to get that card in that deck.
Yeah,
which is interesting because I don't know if there's a. I mean, there might be if you know exactly what matchup you're playing in. No, actually, probably not. There's probably not. Is there a matchup where you're mulliganing your entire hand away just to get a specific 4-drop? I can't think of one.
No, you would do it for 2 drops mostly.
Exactly. You would do it for early drops because that makes sense. This one, it's like this is uh, an integral combo piece.
Yeah.
And we got a question in the chat that I'm not going to save till the end because it won't make well, it'll be less relevant then. What's the probability that you would draw this card by the earlier turns? I honestly don't know.
It's well over 50% that you can have a Wynns on turn 2 if you mulligan for it. That became relevant in the Undertaker days because Warrior was one of the only reliable ways to be able to fight the Undertaker because of Wynns. So, I mean, it's in the area of like 60% on turn 2 to have something if you really push for it. So by turn 4, that'll be up to like 65.
Yeah. The other problem is that the second Astral Communion is really bad.
Yes.
But it does at least cycle. So I guess after you cast the first one, if you draw it, it will at least cycle. So it's not bad. Yeah, but you can't cycle it and then play Ancient of War.
You can't cycle it with something in your hand. Like it has to be the only card in your hand when you cycle it, or you're going to lose everything that's there.
Exactly.
So moving on, though, Priest got a 1-mana heal spell, John. It's called Flash Heal, and it restores 5 health. Cut and dry, very simple. What are your thoughts here?
I have no idea. Probably playable. I mean, 2 mana restores 6 health has been played. This could also be played. That's my, I guess, thoughts on it.
This is Living Roots for Priest to me.
Yeah, I can see that.
It fights the Face Hunters, and at the same time, won't be played because I think that particular deck and strategy is dead for the time being.
Yeah, it is nice that they're giving us 1-mana spells that combat the very aggressive decks, because that's what's going to make these like Anubarak type cards playable.
Yeah, and at the same time, too, it's what gives them, like, they have to do this on occasion to give them design room to make new aggressive minions later on down the road. Metagames are you know, they're subject to eras, and you know what I mean? And it's just, we've been the era of the face deck, and I think we're moving to the era of the late game for a little bit, and you know,
fun time.
Yeah, this lets them up the ante. You know, 1 mana. You know, the next demon that's like a flame imp is a 4/2 instead, or something for 1 mana or something like that. Like it allows them to get a little crazier with it down the line because these tools are already in place to help stave them off.
Yes, Thinman brought up that it is quite good with Auchenai Soul Priest. I agree. And it's also, I mean, there's
Velen Priest. I didn't even think about it in Velen Priest.
Yeah, in Velen Priest, and also it's pretty. There's always like a not young Pyromancer. That's a magic card. Wild Pyromancer deck usually in Priest in some capacity. So this is another card. The problem is that you don't really need like the what the heck is the card called? 1 mana restore 3 and then put a 1/2. That card's way better than this.
Yes.
So
Light of the Narrow.
Light of the Narrow, probably not, like you said, not a whole heck of a lot of room for this card.
No, but yeah, like I said, with Living Roots, it's just good that they made it, and it's not bad.
Fine card.
It'll see play to counter things, but I think the meta is moving away from it actually being a player coming up soon.
Agreed.
Well, the next Priest card is called Confuse. It's a 2-mana spell that swaps the attack and health of all minions. It is an epic, which I think is kind of unfortunate for the effect, which I think has some merits, right? So this...
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah, this, like, kind of combos a little bit with... what's it called? No, it definitely combos... I'm trying to think. No, never mind. Light Bomb. This is a decent Light Bomb combination card. It does a fairly good job of allowing you to ensure that what you need to kill dies. You know, it doesn't necessarily guarantee the board's going to wipe, but if you're...
Doesn't it, like, make it so that the things that wouldn't die do die, or that would die don't die then?
Yes.
Oh, so you do it for your own stuff.
Right. I mean, well, you can set up this board state where,
Yeah. Good.
or your opponent can then confound your plan to kill something, right? Like when your opponent plays a Sarah and your plan was to light bomb, instead of just being completely screwed, you maybe don't use your confuse for what'll probably be its intended purpose, which I'll get to in a minute. You're not going to use it for your combo finish. Let's say you're going to use it for the ability to live, to kill the Acera and be able to fight on another day. But what I think this card's primary purpose will be to take a board state that is defensive and then flip it. Control decks are always looking for that ability to change things up and go on the aggressive. So
that's actually pretty interesting.
Yeah, you're playing your Death Lords, your injured Battle Masters, all these things. The new legendaries. What is a priest deck going to do? It's going to pump the toughness way higher than it's going to pump the offense. So now those guys, flip and go on the aggressive with them. It will have to wait and see exactly. I don't personally think that that's the kind of combo priest that would see play, but it might be. It might be strictly better.
I played that deck. It's close-ish. This definitely puts it in the right direction, because all those 1/4s, like the 1/4 Wind Fury and the 1/4 Charge Taunt, are like pretty bad if you don't have pumps on them. And if you have 2 of them, the second one is really bad. This one makes it so that they're good without pumps, and any number of them is quite good. So I don't know if it's enough, but it's in the right direction to make the Cummings combo deck playable.
Yeah, the old Nick Cummings special.
Yeah.
I think I can't say that this is strictly better than Inner Fire, right? Because you don't like.
Oh God, I don't think so.
But it might replace it. Like, it might be strictly better in the combo version of the deck, because
you definitely play both. I think the problem is that if you interfire a Death Lord, you have an 8/8, and if you confuse a Death Lord, you have an 8/2.
Yeah,
that's the real big issue.
Yeah,
is that this is more all in. Like, you want to have like two Death Lords and a couple of 1/4s out, so that you flop them and then in one turn overrun them. The Interfire makes it so that you can go only somewhat all in and make a 12/12 guy, a 12/12 taunt, and just leave it out there.
Right. It might end up being that there's some split between them. Maybe you want 3 of the effect. Maybe you play 2 of the Interfire and 1 of this guy. It's an interesting card. It's one of those things where I'm like, it's kind of a shame that it's an epic, right? Because it's something I'd want to play with. I'd want to mess with it. But, it's just going to be really hard for the average player to access this card and try something.
It does have cool art. It probably looks fantastic golden.
That's definitely going to be true.
So I'm going to craft 2 gold ones.
Right. Good job. You'll get there. You're all in on the Nick Cummings deck. I like it.
Yep.
All right, Paladin got a little bit of love here with this 3-drop Warhorse Trainer. It is a 2/4 for 3, as I said, where your Silverhand recruits have +1 attack.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it seems really good. It curves nicely in the coin play of turn 2 Muster, turn 3 Warhorse Trainer to get a bunch of crazy value. Yeah. It's a 2/4, which I like, so it's fairly aggressive. Obviously it's just lining up the perfect swipe.
That is true.
But at the same time,
the case. Swipe is never not perfect.
Right. Yeah, in a deck that's trying to win via Silverhand recruits, the swipe will always get you. But this is a really playable card. Great that it's a common, because it's going to allow more aggressive trading early on in the Paladin decks. I think this has a chance to see both control and mid-range Paladin play, as well as the aggro Paladin. This could just be in all the Paladin decks, and I wouldn't blink an eye at that. I think this is a really solid card.
Yeah, definitely sweet. It's kind of maybe forging another branch in the Paladin deck list suite, where you could play Silverhand recruit deck. You can play Dragon Paladin. You can play regular control Paladin. You can play mid-range Paladin. You can play aggro Paladin. You can play insert deck name Paladin. I'm always up. I really like that Blizzard makes a concerted effort to like kind of chisel out a niche for of a second or third or fourth or fifth or whatever deck for each class. So like Silverhand recruits, that's going to be a deck that like not it's not necessarily a good deck, but it's a deck that like Blizzard has in mind. It's like you want to build this deck, just like Magic does with the creature types. Like here are a bunch of Merfolk cards. You want to build a Merfolk deck. Now, Blizzard's doing Silverhand Recruit deck, and they did Dragon deck, and blah, blah, blah. Right. I like it.
Yeah,
this card is costed well enough and has a powerful enough ability.
And for the first and possibly last time in the show, I want to take a second and really make sure we talk about the impact on Arena, because this is a class common, which really has an opportunity to warp the power balance, especially since it's already arguably the second best class in Arena.
It's definitely the best class in Arena.
I mean, I think Mage is still better by the numbers, but
maybe by the numbers, I don't know.
But yeah,
But I think that has a lot to do with Mage is a lot easier to play.
It could very well
build Paladin decks wrong and play them wrong.
Yeah.
But I think Paladin is better overall.
Well, I would personally, I would pick Paladin over Mage in Arena. I know you're to the point where you're really not picking either of them.
I don't pick either. I also haven't played Arena in a while.
Yeah.
It's worth, but yeah.
Yeah, so this will really, if you're getting new into the game and you're still picking the most overpowered class possible, because why wouldn't you? You want to win stuff.
Gold!
There's gold in them there hills.
You're a crusty old prospector. Go ahead and pick Paladin.
Yeah, I don't think it would take too much convincing to pick this card when you actually saw it, but remember it when you're choosing what class. It might not be that you just want to snap pick Mage every time.
Yeah. I mean, it also doesn't cost 4, so you windmill slam it. And there are too many 4s to play, so you have to play only the best ones. But 3s, pick them all.
Yeah, John. Listen, we're looking at a card here for hunters that cannot target the fictional cards that we've been creating all day. That there's clearly a site here. So maybe this is just Big Game Hunter's brother or something like that. I don't know.
He catches sheep, except he doesn't shoot them. He gives them to you. This card. What is up with the flavor fails in these arts? Like, well, what's going on?
It's not much of a flavor fail for a hunter to carry a gun, I've got to say. But Ram Wrangler is a 5-mana 3/3 with a battle cry, and this is probably, A, might not be the real name, and B, probably isn't the real text. I don't like the wording on it. I think it's probably better. It was spoiled on an Asian website or show or stream or something like that. So this is the translation that was available to me at the time I built the slides. It might be exactly the same.
This is what I saw.
Yeah, this is what's out there. They'll adjust it, and it's been adjusted once already, I think, though I didn't notice a difference. Ram Wrangler, Battle Cry. If you have a beast, summon a random beast. So, assuming you control a beast, and he's not one, you get a random one. And this is very interesting, John, because it all depends, right? Like, what's the average beast?
Probably a 2/7. For 4.
I can actually answer that, right?
What is the answer?
I did some math. I counted it up, and it's going to... Of course, I brought it up, and I'm not staring at the numbers, because why would I be? So
my guess is that it's somewhere between a 1/4 taunt and a 2/7 for 4.
Well, here's the math. You're definitely right on that, but I wanted to determine, like, what can I rely on getting and keeping. Okay. And so I did the math. There are 36 beasts. Okay, if you combine all of their power and toughnesses together, the number you get is 257. So 36 beasts with 257 total stats. The average of that would work out to like 7.12.
7. So somewhere in between 5, which is 1 + 4, and 9, which is 2 + 7.
Whatever you're saying, I don't know. But basically, I was counting.
Oh, that's what I said. I said it's somewhere between a 1/4 and a 2/7, which is 5 combined stats and 9 combined stats, respectively. What's in between 5 and 9?
Anyways, John, you're just making
seven.
things up.
How are you not impressed by this? I guessed it exactly correctly.
The only thing I'm impressed by is your ability to spot and identify BS from a mile away. That's what's impressive.
Someone in chat, please recognize that I made the perfect call.
Don't do it. Recognize that I did the math and counted up the power and toughnesses and.
But I did it in 2 seconds and got it right.
That works out. No, you didn't get it right.
I did get it right.
It doesn't make any sense. Distributed on the so the distribution of the stats. There's no way to know what if there's more bigger ones or more lesser ones. So basically the way I interpreted it is you're going to get either a 3-4 or a 4-3 out of this guy on average. So if you take that into consideration, John, we're looking at this 5 mana 6/7 again, and we need to decide if that's playable.
5 mana 6/7. Is it playable? Probably, but maybe not. It's distributed across 2 bodies, which is better, but you need to do a little bit of work, which is worse. You don't necessarily get it, which is way worse. Yep. And sometimes you just get a Captain's Parrot, which is the absolute worst. And also sometimes you just have a 5 mana 3/3, which is also very bad. So that's 4-ish strikes against it and 1 kind of for it. I guess the other for it is sometimes you just get a Savannah Highmane and you're in really, really good shape.
Right. Yeah, or even the Beast in a scenario like this would just be out of this world. Something big. You can get Malorn.
That's also true.
And you can get any beasts we don't know about yet either.
Get King Crush too.
Yep. And that certainly does have charge.
So stupid.
And you can get Captain's Parrot. So
Gazira.
Yep,
Gazrilla.
But yeah, it's really tough to evaluate, and it's definitely right there, right? And you said something. Now, I had a thought earlier that when we're talking about 5 mana, there's a lot of scenarios where it's not better to spread it out, right? Because it's such a later card. Like, it's always better early because it allows you to make trades and keep value around.
Right.
But if it was literally put a 3/4 beast into play, you're getting real close to Flame Strike range, so unless you play it on curve, you're not even necessarily guaranteed an attack. And you're just generally later in the game. You're going to open yourself up to more of the AoE removal and things like that as you play it. So I feel like I would almost rather have the stats go on to him. Now, like you said, it's all a balance of is it good enough to have the shot to get that Savannah Highmane,
right?
To make up for the fact that I already have to have a beast in play in order to play it, and everybody's already killing my beast the moment I drop him anyways.
I think I would rather play. Where's the card? I guess it's not too comparable. I don't know. The Kodo Rider seems like it's better than this, right? The guy 6 mana 3/5, 7 3/5, Inspire.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously it's more expensive, but if you're looking for that type of effect, I think I'd rather play the Kodo Rider than this guy. I mean, it's a little bit different. You get the stats right away, but the inevitability of the Kodo Rider seems better, even than the possibility of getting the Savannah Highmane. I don't know if either are necessarily playable, but I think Kodo Rider is probably much closer than this guy.
Yeah, I keep going back and forth, and I don't know, we've kind of talked me off of him. The green border, despite green being my favorite color, it just makes the card take quite a hit. Yeah, I still can't know. I don't know. I can't make a definitive statement and say I'm doing any more than guessing when I try to figure out if this will see play. It's got a chance. It'll be curious to see.
I don't even know if it does. You need to be playing Beast. You need to be playing Super Beast Hunter, which you're probably playing. If you're playing a really beast heavy deck, you want to play Tundra Rhino, and I'm trying to think. There's probably more King of Beasts. There's probably already too many better 5s than this guy in that deck, right?
Yeah, but I kind of want to coin Tundra Rhino and then this guy the following turn. That seems
I mean, that seems good too, but coin Tundra Rhino into King of Beasts is probably just better than that on average.
I don't know. It's tough. We're gonna have to wait and see. It's got less ability to just take a game over and kind of end it. It also like it turns a late game. Huge. It turns a late game Haunted Creeper into a much better card too. But if that's the case, like how many turns were you holding this guy waiting to get value? You might
right, and if you're like, I think if you're ever making this guy's really good in the late game argument, just play Kodo Rider because it's 10,000 times better in the late game.
Yeah, we will have to.
Or like Nexus Champion Sarad is better than this in the late game. Actually, Nexus Champion Sarad is probably just better than this in all cases.
Yeah.
So maybe this guy just doesn't have the chance. This guy, on the other hand, is sweet.
Yeah, this guy's really cool. Cut Purse is a rogue minion. It's a rare 2-mana 2/2. When this minion attacks the enemy hero, put a coin into your hand. Love this effect. I really love it.
So sweet.
Just a really unique, cool effect that fits the flavor of the class perfectly. It fits the role of the class perfectly to kind of be this tempo-ish deck that doesn't overwhelm. It doesn't play zoo quality minions. It plays rogue quality spells. You know what I mean? Like it.
Right.
And it gives you combo enablers later on in the game. Everything about this card is really cool. The only concern is how good is a 2/2 for 2, and how often in the format, like what removal are the best decks playing, and how likely is it that this ever gets to attack? Those are my only questions.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, just think of it like a Knife Juggler. Like, Knife Juggler is very, very playable. I mean, it doesn't do the same thing, I guess, because it doesn't give you board control necessarily, but that's what the spells in Rogue are for. I feel like this guy's just insane, right? I don't know. Maybe like there's a brief window of time where getting the extra coins is going to be really good, and those turns are like turns 2 through 6, right? So you coin this guy out, and you just get a huge amount of advantage. Same thing with Knife Juggler. Like, you can coin Knife Juggler out and then play minions on the next 3 turns and get some really good board control. Yeah. How often does Knife Juggler live past 1 or 2 turns? Probably under like 10%, but it still sees a lot of play.
Yeah.
And I think that this guy has the chance.
I think he's got a great chance. It's the problem is he doesn't like
draw off of it.
Yeah.
Like, it's not unheard of, or even prep sprint a turn or 2 early. Like I think and this guy sticks around and gives you a target for your oil.
Yeah.
I think I'm in on this guy.
I love him. I'm gonna own 2 very quickly, and I'm gonna be experimenting with Rogue as I always do with every new set. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm very excited about this. I think it's a really cool card and a really good one too. So we'll look to see how good the class can be.
Our Dark Iron 4/3 for 5 deal that backstabs everything. He might come out of it. Yeah, Dark Iron Skulker might come out of the binder soon.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see.
I liked him when we played him.
Oh man, John. We got Healing Wave here. Shaman gets a little bit more love, and Healing Wave is a 3-mana spell here. Restore 7 health. Joust with your opponent. Reveal a minion in each deck. If yours costs more, restore 14 instead. 14 health, John.
It's I don't know. Cards like this, it's like, oh, you could restore 50 health, but you never actually restore more than 30, so it might as well say restore 30 health, right? How often are you going to gain the full 14, though? That's what
I'd say
maybe a decent amount of time.
Yeah, I'd say honestly pretty often. Like, I think this is, I totally get what you're saying, and I think this is kind of, it's a card that's great and like really helps just push the face hunters out of the format. Like, you can't overcome 14 health in a face hunter deck. I'm sorry, it's just not.
Definitely can't overcome 28 if you play 2 of this card.
Right, like it's just going to help push those cards out. But this is one that its impact 14 is such a big number that a control shaman is just gonna say you just hold this. You wait until you do gain 14 or 12 or 13 or something. You just wait, and it's going to get you there. And Shaman is already predisposed to, in the control decks, like wanting to play a lot of those big heavy guys.
True. It also has options to play Feral Spirits and other totem cards, so that you don't actually end up revealing like cheap totems or cheap minions to lose the joust. So you'll almost always gain the full 14.
Yeah.
If you're playing I also saw people talking about Malagos Shaman, and you can just play this and a bunch of burn and some other just a bunch of spells and just Malagos to win the game. It's possible. But yeah, Shaman control deck, it's definitely opening the door for it.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. This could very well be one of those cards that doesn't actually see a lot of play, because the decks that it fights will get pushed out by the presence. I mean, this is the third different class we've talked about having a card like this. Warrior had Bash, we talked about last week. That's just going to help crush that matchup for it. So now that's at least 4 classes that have gotten great tools to fight face decks, and so this might not see play, but 14 is just such an astronomically large number that it's got a real opportunity in the against the combo decks and against the control decks.
True.
But moving on here, John, we've got a neutral Paladin card. It doesn't make sense, but I'll explain it here in just a second. Grand Crusader is a 6-mana 5/5 with a battle cry to add a Paladin card to your hand. Now, any class can play this, John, so every class now has the ability to play and guarantee that they'll have a quality for you, right?
That's true. It just gives you a quality every time.
I mean, a quality or Tyrion, like flip a coin.
Right, those are the only ones.
Yeah, I mean, it'll never be humility.
You're not playing this over Sylvanas, and it has the same exact stats as Sylvanas. Yeah. Long story short, probably too many 6-mana neutral spells to want to play this card.
Yeah, but with that said, I still love it anyways, because it's
definitely a cool card.
Yeah, it's a non-legendary option for newer players, like as newer players without full collections start to buy some packs. If you open up one of these, it's a great fit. You can just throw it into a control deck.
Yeah. Kodo Rider, though. Kodo Rider's better than this card, right?
I don't remember what Kodo Rider is.
Kodo Rider's a 6-mana 3/5 Inspire Summon a 3/5.
Yeah, but that costs 8. Like this.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, I mean, this just legit costs 6.
Sure.
So to me, they fit different spots in the curve. So
yeah, you can play in your budget.
Yeah,
control deck.
I don't think this is going to break anything open. It's a cool card. It's interesting, and it's not unplayable. That's what can be said for it.
Sure.
So it's there's going to be a lot of cards like this in the future, and this one is just unique and different. So I'm a fan of it.
I should said Inspire at a random Paladin card.
Oh my goodness, it'd be so good. It'd be another 8-drop.
Yep.
A very interesting card here for Warriors, John. Alexstrasza's Champion is a 2-mana 2/3 minion with Battle Cry. If you're holding a dragon, gain +1 attack and charge. But last set was the dragon set, John.
Yeah, I'm glad to see that mechs and dragons got an homage in this set.
Yeah. I think it's something we can expect to see in the future too. These types won't be forgotten. Just because the whole set used to be, was goblins and gnome themed, doesn't mean other sets won't contain goblins and gnomes, and those cards will then interact with mechs, and it sets a cool precedent. And they did it with dragon, which was going to be kind of harder to pull off to me, and I think they did it pretty well.
Yeah.
So maybe Control Warrior, John, is just playing a bunch of really expensive dragons. Can you think of a single reason why you'd want to have a bunch of expensive dragons that you could draw off the top of your deck 3 at a time? Anyways.
Think of at least one.
So this is a card
of Varian.
Yeah, a lot. It's a huge Varian play. But Alexstrasza's Champion is a great role filler for those, those slower dragon warrior decks. The Blackwing Corruptor's the reason to do it, right? This is now going to be another reason to do it, and it allows you to play things that get even better with some of the other cards, right? Like now you're playing Azure Drake, and I guess since that has spell power, like this Bash card you gave me now also is that much better. So it's a really interesting card. I'm not completely sold on it, and it looks like an epic to me from my colorblind spot that I'm in now. And if that's the case,
not.
It's what?
It's rare.
It is rare. Okay, well, if it's rare, then it's just phenomenal. Like, it's cheap, it's accessible, and I will be experimenting with Dragon Warrior probably the day of. It'll probably be the first thing I go to. But nonetheless, just a really interesting card and an homage to Alex Straza himself. I don't know, anything to add here? It's kind of
I'm always have my eyes open when things have charge. Always.
Yeah.
Just always a thing I want to be aware of, because haste is like the most broken ability in Magic, and charge is probably the most broken ability in Hearthstone.
Yeah, it's really strong, and just a great... I mean, even if you don't get to pump it, right? Like, if you just don't have a weapon and you're playing against something you expect, like maybe Shaman, you just play this and let it be your totem sweeper. Like, it's not even going to be bad in that situation.
Nope.
But, yeah, just...
Trades up with Shredder, which is nice.
Right, yeah, 3/3 for 3 I'm a big fan of, and I look
3/3
forward
for
to
2.
including this.
It costs 2.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I knew it did. I just apparently spoke wrong. All right, well, moving on here, we're getting into the legendaries, which means we're close. Not quite there yet, though. Ice Howl is a 9-mana 10/10. It has charge, John. Your ears just perked up. Also, it can't attack heroes. So, I don't know.
Bad.
Yeah,
I think we say bad.
I'm pretty comfortable saying bad. I'm trying to, just think of the corner case scenarios, what are the magical Christmas lands for this card? That's my question for you.
You'd silence it, and then you have a 10-mana or 9-mana not charged 10/10.
Yeah,
Plague Rule.
You can't do it. Yeah, you can't do it right away, so that's not magical Christmas land enough to me.
No, then there is no magical Christmas land. There's no way to give it charge, right? Unless you have so you play, you turn to, okay, so you're playing against Warrior. You go turn to Burglar or whatever the card's called that makes coins. So you get 5 or 6 coins in your hand. By the time you play Nefarian and get a charge out, you get a charge because you're playing against a Warrior. So then you play Nefarian, you have 2 charges. You play Ice Howl, then you play your Owl, Ice Howl and Owl to silence it. Then you play Charge to give it +2 attack and charge, and because you have 15 mana because it's magical
that's
Christmas.
How hard
and
it
that's
is.
still not even that good. That's only 12 damage.
That's how hard it is to make this a quality card worth something worth doing. And that was the point of the exercise, is that it's really difficult to make this good. Chat's pointing out that it's arena playable. Cool.
Arena.
It's also orange. So you have to compare it to all the other orange ones, and it's probably worse than the 2 other orange ones you have there. But it's not bad.
It's probably. I'd probably play this every time over Tyrion.
No, of course you would. Obviously, Tyrion's not even good in your world.
He's not even that much better than Sunwalker.
And that's no, he's actually pretty much just the same card. In fact, there's more scenarios where John would rather have Sunwalker in Arena than Tyrion. It's just probably better. And at the end of the day, I can't even dispute it, because it's not like I have the opinion of anybody John respects as a professional Hearthstone player to back up my thought that he's an idiot. So we should probably just not talk about it anymore.
Yeah, you're probably right.
All right, so Ronin is the mage legendary.
Talk about this card anymore. Get rid of it. This card's not that good. Next. I want to see the good one.
No, you have to be patient. We have to have an intelligent discussion about Ronin. He's an 8-mana 7/7 with a death rattle to add 3 copies of arcane missiles to your hand. I think I'm just now noticing that says death rattle and not battle cry, John.
I noticed that too.
Yeah.
But I noticed it after I saw the card.
Yeah, I mean, I saw the other one first, So my brain was definitely, you know, not functioning at a rational capacity any longer.
Yeah.
But this card, I mean, it has a real opportunity to see some play. I expect it to be a playable card. I just don't know that it's super game breaking. You know,
you ever play this over Archmage Antonidas?
No, you just play it with it.
Do you ever play it? Do you play it? So you're playing this and Dr. Boom and Archmage Antonidas all above 7 mana?
Why not? How slow? The format is going to be just crazy slow.
If you're playing like a, but then okay, so if you're playing like Control Mage, why aren't you just playing Freeze Mage? Right, this card's not good in Freeze Mage. You want to play
it's a Tempo Mage card.
Freeze Mage type spell. So you're playing Tempo Mage. Maybe I guess I could see it in a slow format where you're cutting some of the early garbage out of Tempo Mage to play more meat.
Yeah,
and
like,
this could.
If the format slows, you're not going to actually play Arcane Missiles anymore in Tempo Mage. So you play Ronin instead, and now you still can have, you know, some crazy interactions with Antonidas. And as well as Flame Waker. Like, you're basically looking at adding adding a 3 mana, like, almost Pyroblast to your hand, assuming you can empty the board. Or think about it in comparison to, like, you're adding an Avenging Wrath to your hand. For 3 mana.
I can believe that, I guess. I can see it now. But it's like,
I'm not defending it, saying it's great. I'm not saying you have to play it, right? It's just,
I guess I can see it maybe be playable. Yeah, I could see it being playable. I don't know if it's great. I want this to cost 7 mana so that it contests Boom, but it costs 8 instead.
I think it's kind of almost a shame it doesn't, just to kind of help pull some Dr. Booms out of things a little bit, because we haven't seen that card that just makes you not care about Dr. Boom anymore in any deck.
Everything be either 6 mana and have Inspire be something insane, or be 8 mana, or be 7 mana and be complete garbage.
Yeah.
That's what they've done so far. There's no, and like, things that cost 5 mana and have Inspire aren't insane. They're more like 5 mana spells that you're like, okay, I'll get an Inspire off of this. Like Next Champion Sarad is not like an insane turn 7 play. It's just very good.
I'm getting a very Ron Swanson feel from you right now. It's kind of funny.
Why?
Because when he writes his letter to Frozen Yogurt, and he's like, "Dear Frozen Yogurt, you are the celery of desserts. Be ice cream or be nothing."
Yeah,
and you're just like,
exactly.
"Dear Ronan, your arcane missiles are not boom bots. Be Dr. Boom or be nothing.
Be Dr. Boom or go home." Yeah.
Yeah, but I think this is a playable card. It's not crazy. You're not shoving it into every mage deck in existence. It's not on a power level with Antonidas, like we've said, but it combos well with Antonidas, and I sure wish that Death Rattle was a battle cry, so that way I knew I could go 8 to 9, get 2 fire. But it would make life so much better.
Out of the game and not. Well, I guess Big is decent against Big Game Hunter, kind of. I guess. I don't know. It is what it is. It doesn't. It's change fine. Not great.
Yeah.
Just get to the real meat, please.
If you resolve this, your opponent's going to be actively killing it. They're not going to be like, well, I don't want to give him 3 arcane missiles.
Right.
It's just your job.
They're going to make you follow the rules, and then you're going to shoot yourself.
Yeah, that'll be the worst. All right. Boom! Varian-ce is a 10-mana 7/7 warrior legendary minion. Battle cry. Draw 3 cards. The downside, John, because you were just asking me that literally. Put any minions that you drew this way.
Into the graveyard.
No, right into the battlefield, John. You just play them full free.
When you sent me the picture of this card, I was at work and I literally just did the PogChamp face. I was just like, "What are you doing? What? Are you kidding me?"
Out of this world.
Yeah, it's insane.
I feel so stupid for being excited about Avianto.
I know, Avianto is just a piece of garbage now.
I don't even care. I literally could not care less.
It's Pied Piper.
This card's nuts. And we were just talking about, Alex Straz's champion's going to make you want to play some expensive dragons later in the game, right? Like, oh no, I guess I'll just have to slam my Acera into play for free because I played the 7/7. That seems fair.
And your Chromagus.
Well, yeah, I mean, you have to get your Chromagus, and you might as well just, run Dr. Boom out there too.
Yeah, I mean, Dr. Boom's not as good, but Sneed's Old Shredder is.
So, Magical Christmas Land for your opponent. No creatures. Card's still super good, right? Like,
yeah.
I just drew 3 spells.
Super good, but still fine. Oh, that's right. He just drew. He's still good.
Like,
it doesn't even say put the other ones in the. It doesn't even say destroy the other ones.
I just keep the spells. Like, this is so dumb.
This is the dumbest thing ever. The only problem. Okay, so here's the problem. When you flip over 2 of your armor smiths, or not armor smiths, not armor smith. What is the 6 mana 5/5 card that I hate? Shield Maiden. You flip over 2 Shield Maidens, man. Like, you didn't even get the battle cry. You just put 10 power into play for free.
Yeah, right. Like, you just paid 10 mana for a 17/17 split up among 3 minions.
Yeah.
It's so dumb. The worst case scenarios for this aren't that bad. The only bad card to flip is, in my opinion, Cruel Taskmaster. And, even Acolyte of Pain, I'm like, all right, so I'm just going to draw some cards now. Like, nothing about it's bad. This card's really, really strong, and it's like a high likelihood to just, kind of blow the game up. Just kill it. Like, it's, I don't know.
Here's the only thing, and this is actually something I just thought about, and it's actually somewhat legitimate. The only thing that might be bad in it is in the mirror, where when the format eventually warps to, like, just everything is double brawl, drawing 3 cards, even if you put them all into play, is probably not going to be good enough because it's going to put you closer to fatigue faster, right? Like, when they have the brawl, like, you just save your brawls for it until after Varian-ce.
I definitely don't think slowing the format down makes double brawl better. I think it makes it considerably
I think
worse.
Varian-ce makes double brawl really good.
Right, like if your opponent only plays 1 and you can get him to do it before you play Varian. He's
like you just always save at least 1 brawl for after they play Varian. They put like their Ysera, Chromagus, whatever into play. You just like 4-for-1 them, and they don't even have a choice. It's not like you may put them into play. Like this card automatically overextends you. And even if you're drawing spells, like the spells in general aren't going to be that good in like the warrior mirror, right? Like the shield slams and stuff aren't going to be that good. They're just going to put you closer to fatigue, which is not good.
Yeah.
And if your opponent is playing the 6 mana 6/5, put a bomb in your deck. This guy just screws you over, man.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. So yeah, the obvious downside here is you're not going to get your battle cries. I'm trying to think of what that can affect that you might want to play, and the Justicar, Templar, or whatever, what's his face that upgrades your hero ability. I think there's a decent chance Control Warrior wants to do that.
Not Shield Maiden. Shield Maiden.
Yeah, Shield Maiden will be affected. I'm trying to think of what other battle. Oh, Alex Straza doesn't go off. But at the end of the day, you're just forcing them to have like an AoE clear or instantly die. And,
that is.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't think of a better card to top deck turn 10 in a top deck fight.
There's obviously nothing better you can top deck ever.
Yeah. And an interesting thought with this is it's clearly super broken, right? So, like, how do they nerf this?
They make it cost 11.
Yeah, like because that's their go-to, right? Like something's too powerful. I'm surprised they went for this. Maybe make a baby version on 7 mana. It makes a 6/6 that draws 2 cards and puts them into play.
That card's way better. That card's insane. That card's 1,000 times better than this one.
But you get my point. It doesn't have to be that. I'm
no, I
it
understand
on the
what you're
fly.
saying.
But you just
I don't know. Draw 1 card if it's a minion, put it into play, or draw. Yeah.
It's got to be 2. There's a balance there somewhere. Maybe you just drop the toughness a bunch so that way it itself is more killable. There's a lot of things you can do to balance it, and it's just a lot harder to fix a minor issue when it already costs 10, right? Like you can't make the 9-drop cost 10. I mean,
it does cost 10, so they're probably not They're probably fine having very expensive broken spells like I guess Deathwing is. Deathwing. You can just play Deathwing. You can start playing Deathwing. Deathwing is good on both sides. You can put it into play with Varian, or you can play it after their Varian.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the thing is, like, anytime you draw it, I don't know, I guess it just sits in your hand and waits forever. But it's a good point. Like, it's definitely a card that...
In the mirror match is probably insane.
I don't know. It's a card that helps Warrior keep a hand late, and it also, like, says discard on it. So, I don't know. It's definitely possible, because Control Warrior is where Deathwing sees its fringe play anyways. So you can definitely see it. Like, I would love to play Deathwing first, and then draw my own Varian-Rin after. Like, I want to see my Deathwing to respond to his Varian, and then play my Varian after the fact. Like, that's the dream.
Lucius brings up a good point that I'm only thinking about not even just Warrior versus Warrior matchup, the Warrior Control versus Warrior Control matchup. Right. I'm predicting the metagame, bro. It's going to be nothing but Warrior Control.
Yeah, I mean, if that's true, like, and if this card's really good, like, a quality combo Control Paladin comes back with a vengeance. You know, there's ways to fight against that, but this really kind of makes Control Warrior the go-to option, I think, for what's gonna come out on. Like, I think Control Warrior will top the meta early, and that'll be what we're all chasing. And
either that or Handlock with Fizzbang. What's his name? Wilfred Fizzbang. Fizzlebang!
Absolutely.
Best name in the set for sure.
You know, maybe if you could remember it, it would be.
Old Wilfie Fizzlebang!
Alright, guys, well, we ran pretty long again, not quite as long as last week, but we did have some fewer cards. I do have one question here in the Q&A ready for us here. So I will answer that. If you do have any others to get to us, please, now's the time. Drop them in Twitch chat. Gridlock asks Q&A, don't you think with as slowed down as they are trying to make the game with the Inspire mechanic, won't Face Hunter be dominant? No, because the way they're doing it is just ensuring that Face Hunter dies, right? Like, that's how they're slowing it down. They're to me, it seems like they're just chopping the head right off of Rexxar and forcing him to play a mid-range style.
Yeah.
You can't be gaining 14 life from Healing Surge, and, you know, 3 damage, gain 3 armor for 3 mana in Warrior. Like, there's just so many crazy tools to fight the early aggression that, you know, it's one of those things where it might be good for a little bit, right? Like, when nobody's playing the answers for it, like, you might get 3 to 5 days, you know, before other people catch on that they should be playing Face Hunter. And then as soon as they do, all the control decks change 2 cards again, and you're back to doomed.
Exactly. So
I really expect Face Hunter to just die completely, to be perfectly honest.
I mean, it won't, because I'm too good, so it won't happen. But
Blevins OP, boys.
Yep.
He doesn't care that I'm gaining 4 armor a turn.
Nope. Care less, because I'm doing 3 damage, bro.
Right.
Like, that's fair.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. You know, I think there's a real opportunity for, you know, when a new set comes out, one of the popular strategies, if you just want to level up, you know, you just want to rank up as fast as possible, and a meta changes, sometimes the best thing you can do is not react at all to it. Ignore the new stuff, and just play what's best now. So, you know, there's a lot of people out there just going to be throwing Patron Warrior at the ladder when the new set comes out. And those are the people you should BM, by the way. If there's ever a reason to BM, it's somebody that's playing old meta things in a new meta. But it's a little tough in Hearthstone, you know, because it is a free-to-play game, and so it becomes very difficult for free-to-play players to have those things.
True, not everyone has the luxury of opening 150 packs when the new set comes out.
Well, then they're bad, and they should feel bad, John.
Yep, I'm going to open a pretty good amount. Not that many, but a good amount. Roughly half. Yeah,
you know, it's going to be a small number of people that are forced to do it. Most of the people jamming Grim Patron Warrior are doing it because they're trying to win. I personally am not really touching the ladder. I'm like ranked 12 right now from just completing quests. And it's just, I'm going to throw everything I have at it as soon as we get the new set. That's all I'm going to do. Is there's going to be raid times on Tuesday and Thursday, and then every other minute of every other day. Like, I'm not even going to want to record the podcast the first week or two. I'm just going to be like, why don't I get to play games? I don't understand.
We could do special episodes where we just play for an hour.
If we can come up with a really cool deck,
We'll say it right now. There's a possibility that if the set comes out by this time next week, or I guess 2 hours ago next week, we might be doing a live show where we're playing instead of doing the normal podcast.
Like it's
a maybe, maybe not.
Yeah. In all likelihood, probably not, because there will be a lot of decks to talk about, new meta things. But at the end of the day, if it's a Wednesday and the set came out on Tuesday, there might not be a lot of data to analyze.
Yeah. We got to make it.
Yeah. All right, so how come there are no new legendary Murloc cards being made? I don't know, Derpt. I don't know, my friend. I wish I could answer that for you, but I think at the end of the day, they're trying to, with them trying to slow the metagame down, the Murloc is an aggressive strategy, and there's at least one, right? Like, didn't they make the one? No, it's the pirate, the legendary pirate.
They made a legendary pirate, and there's, I think, pictures of Murlocs somewhere in the art. But
yeah, we don't know that they didn't either. That's the thing.
Yeah, it could be. They could be out. The problem, they kind of set themselves up to not do many Murlocs, or to make themselves have to be very careful with Murlocs. Talked about this before. The Murloc Lord is very good, giving +2/+1. 3 mana 3/3 that gives them all +2/+1 is insane, and the 1 mana 1/1 that gives them all +1 attack is also quite good. So every single Murloc they print, they have to be very careful, because the Murloc synergy is very strong, and it doesn't take that much to make it just completely broken.
And let's say it was a really expensive standalone one, they have to worry about the balance of Neptulon then.
True.
So a lot of factors come into play with Murlocs that are really unaffected. The pirates don't care about as much, since, like John said, the Lord is so significantly weaker, and that's really the only interaction, other than Captain's Parrot. And go ahead and play it, I dare you.
And the best interaction is ships.
Yes.
Cannon.
Yeah, so maybe dropping multiple pirates into play would be a little broken, but yeah, anyways, that's going to wrap up the show for today, you guys. We will be around for a brief after show. We're no longer going to be talking about the brawls. They're officially repeating. So woohoo, me and John don't have to try to think of anything nice to say. Not that we were successful in finding anything nice to say about the brawls, but with that said, it's John's favorite brawl ever this week. So
true, although I played it once and I am back to not really even liking it that much.
Yeah, I'm just going to use it to clear some quests out and get out.
I use it to level up Priest, because I still don't have golden, what's it called?
Oh, you scrub.
Yeah, and by the time I get it, I'm not even going to be playing Patron Warrior anymore.
No, it won't even be a deck, probably, right?
Point.
All right. Well, everybody.
Also, for what it's worth, I am almost certainly not staying around for the after show, but
you know what? Tweet at John. Just send him some really hateful and mean tweets about him skipping every after show, because it's unacceptable. I can't handle this pressure.
Send me tweets congratulating me on knowing the exact average of
knowing
what
nothing.
I knew exactly what it was.
He knew nothing. He just found a way to try to shove a circle into a square, a circle or a peg into a square hole, and yeah, I don't know. No credit for you. What's the quote from Billy Madison? I don't know. God have mercy on your soul. I award you 0 points. All right, guys. Yeah. Thank you so much for stopping by and checking out the show. And feel free to follow me on Twitch. Subscribe on YouTube to the show's channel. We also on Facebook, on Twitter, all these things. You can email us. John's pointing aimlessly around at things. You can just go ahead and search those on the old Google machine, and I'm sure you'll find us. So, thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Adios.
Yes. Hey everybody, we're back. Let me kill the two.